Uganda Revenue Authority reminds all taxpayers to file their monthly returns and make all outstanding payments by the 15th of every month. Please comply to avoid penalties and interest associated with failure to file returns and payment of these taxes. For further clarifications, call us on our toll-free line 0800-117-000 or email us on services@ura.go.ug. Please ignore this message if you have already complied.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together. Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Capo, you seem to be in a hurry. Where are you going to?
I'm gonna pay URA visit.
Why would anyone visit URA? Of all places?
To know more about the Kakasa business solutions, namely digital tracking solution, the voluntary disclosure program and electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution, which have turned my business around. You know I need to be on top of my game to protect my empire. If you know, you know.
I too need to know what Capo knows.
Kakasa, be sure you are in charge of your business. Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
In chess, the small one can become the big one. It's the same.
Good morning and welcome to today's Tax Mchuzi episode. Today with me, we'll be looking at the year-end tax obligations for our viewers and taxpayers. And with just 2 days to the end of the year, what should the taxpayers do? What tax returns do they have to file? And how to go about it in case there are glitches on their end, and the kind of support that URA will be available to provide. In the house, we have tax experts who will be sharing with us more, and let's get into it. Good morning and you're welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good morning, our viewers. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning.
Glad to be here to remind ourselves about our obligations.
Yes,
And we have a lot in the house. My name is Patrick Baguma, Supervisor Tax Literacy.
Thank you, Patrick.
Welcome.
Next guest.
Good morning, viewers. We're happy to be here to give you a lot of information that will help you to be able to honor obligations. My name is David Rusoke, and I am Team Lead Tax Literacy in Domestic Taxes Department, Uganda Revenue Authority. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed your Christmas. I don't know how it was.
Sure,
Maybe
we
it was
did.
short. I wish it was longer. Yeah, so as we get into it, we are looking at the year-end return filing and payment obligations for the different business people that we have out there. So, David, what is the importance of meeting the return filing and payment deadlines for our viewers? What is in need for them?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes, so of course, the year-end return filing is here, and the due dates for filing of returns, especially for our taxpayers who are whose accounting date is 30th June, is supposed to be 31st of December. You're given 6 months within which to file returns. So we have quite a number of taxpayers who are filing returns today, yes, or by this date, by the 31st. And of course, many of us usually wait until the last day. So we have, of course, there are some who have filed within the 6 months, but there are those who are, of course, working at filing. And we are trying to remind our taxpayers to file by the 31st. But for individuals, it's especially those with business. There is a return for those who are doing business. It's an extensive return, filling the balance sheet, and there are a lot of things for you to file. The other return is the one for directors and those who also have employment income, individuals. It's also a return which can be filed and should be filed by the 31st midnight. Then for our non-individuals, that is the companies, the partnerships, yes, even NGOs, they're required to file returns. There's a corporate return, and there's a partnership return for partnerships, which they can fill in. Now, this return is a self-declaration. It is you telling us what transpired, and we are expecting you to tell us what transpired in the year of income 2021-2022. So we're expecting, yes, all the income tax returns, especially the annual income tax returns to come. And of course, we're also expecting the provisional returns, the half-year returns, because we are in the middle of the year, and we have the those whose accounting date is again July to June, the normal year of income. We expect them to file their half-year return. They are individuals, especially those in business, and the corporate returns, especially for companies. We expect them to file returns and give us a position of how the year is going.
Okay, so you mentioned something to do with provisional returns.
Yes.
Is there a difference between the provisional returns and the returns they're supposed to file on 31st or before 31st?
Okay. Yes. So we're expecting two returns.
Oh, okay.
The first return is a report of what transpired in the year 2021-2022. The due date, or the last day we're expecting this return, is by the 31st of December. Okay. That is the first one. It's giving us a complete report of what happened. It's extensive. It gives a lot of information which URA uses to know what is happening in the economy, and this information is used at high level to also know what is happening to our taxpayers, and it's used also for policy. We know that maybe this sector is not doing well, and so for the last financial, but for the provisional, that is the current year. The current year is started from the 1st of July 2022, and it runs up to the 30th of June 2023. So by now we know you're halfway there, really, and you know how the year is going. You can do your P&L, okay, profit and loss, trading profit and loss account, and know that actually, yes, I am, let's assume you sell phones or pens. You know that I've sold 1 million pens. Okay, you've sold 10 pens, and on the 10 pens, there is a profit. Okay. And of course, when you prepare your tax computation, you'll find there is tax in there. So government needs to take care of the citizens. We expect you to declare and bring that in order for government to run programs and take care of citizens in this current year. Okay,
thank you, Patrick. So thank you, David. So for Patrick, I have you find that viewers out there and taxpayers would like to know. It's just 2 days to the end of year. Maybe their books are not in order. Is there an option of extension, and what does it mean? Is it that when you allow the extension, then also the payment moves or shifts, or it stays the same?
Apparently,
Yes.
the law is flexible. Maybe before I say what is required, let me appreciate, because already there are those people who have already filed and paid. There are many that are there. We appreciate, and we continue to say thank you, because you are supporting, you're helping the government. We are developing Uganda together. Now, because this is the Christmas season, as David has said on 2 days, some of us are still in Christmas mode. And during the season, most of them are making those quick sales to just catch up with those people who want to purchase for Christmas. So the law allows you to apply for extension, and this extension must be within 90 days. You can apply for extension, but it should not exceed 90 days. But this extension does not change the due date of what? Of payment. So what does it mean? That if I apply for extension, the payment obligation remains. If you don't pay by the due date, the interest will start accumulating and outstanding amounts. That's what I have to note.
Okay, thank you so much. And then, David, what would you say about taxpayers who collect withholding tax and they need to offset it as a credit? Is there that kind of initiative that happens so that they are able to balance their taxes and pay the right tax?
Okay. Before I go there, I want to talk about if they don't file.
Okay.
And Patrick, thank you for reminding me. Before we even get to extension, if they don't file, that's why we are here, to remind and kindly ask you to file the return. So ask for the extension, like he has said, because when you don't, there is a penalty. Because the law has given you 6 months within which to file, and you have not come. And if you also don't ask for extension, especially for the return, yes, there is a penalty of 200,000 per month, or 2% of the tax. Okay, and I think it's. I mean, they've given you 6 months, and you can file from any part of the world. You know, these are online returns. For you to say, some people have gone for Christmas, and maybe they are in Zanzibar. I don't know. Maybe they are somewhere. But again, you can file online. So if you don't, there is a penalty. And yes, so kindly take care of it. Now I'll go to the withholding tax credit. Yes, while some of us are doing business, we import things and there is a 6% that is deducted. There are some people that we do business with, especially if you deal with government, and there are other taxpayers who are mandated to withhold. So they usually withhold 6%. And there are many points at which, yes, 6% might be deducted, but that you can use that credit to reduce your liability. When the return comes, it tells us exactly what your obligation is. Okay? So when the end of your return comes and you declare, we know that yes, maybe you have 1 million to pay, but you will find that you have credit. And you can use that credit to clear your tax liability. Yes, so it reduces on what you should pay, and it's usually sent as a PDF to the account of the client. Look at your PDFs, look at your ledger in your TIN profile, and you will find in your paid column exactly what you paid for, where there are withholding tax credits. When you click there, you will actually find them, and you can use them to reduce on your tax obligations.
Yes, you've spoken about it being treated as a reduction. So, Patrick, would you tell us, or just let us know, what does it, is it the only reduction for business people, or are there other deductions that happen?
Thank you, David. Thank you, Elizabeth. Of course, as David said, one, this is the time when we expect you to be filing your final income tax return. And this most special applies to those individuals and non-individuals whose year ends 30th June. But remember, when the year is beginning, like remember at this is some stage where you expect companies and individuals to file their provisional returns for the financial year 2022-2023. So what does it mean? That when the year is also beginning, within the period of 6 months, we expect to make a provisional payment. So what does it mean? That if during the year, what you had provided for, you had made the payment, part of the payment. Now, the year has ended. Now you're telling us exactly what transpired. And there is actual tax payable. Before you get the final tax to pay to Uganda Revenue Authority or to government, you first remove the withholding tax. Then again, you remove the provisional tax, which you had paid earlier. Then the balance, if there's any net to pay, that's the amount of money you're supposed to pay to URA. So in brief, there are two credits. One, provisional tax paid. Then again, the credit which has been withheld at source by the withholding agents.
Yes. Briefly, could you expound on records? What does it mean to have records and also keep the correct invoices, the correct receipts? How does it help, David?
Yes, thank you. How do we ascertain income?
Yes.
How we ascertain income is, of course, through your bankings,
Yes.
but it's also you're giving invoices for especially those who are VAT registered, but it's also e-receipts for those who are using IFRS to create receipts, but it's also the way you keep your records. We expect you to really, because how do we know that you collected 1 million and not 2? Your record keeping should really be there, because you're playing with business, and government has really taken good care of you to be able to do business. So they are trying. There are a lot of things that government does to ensure that people are doing business. So you're supposed to keep good records, and for a period of 5 years, because we could come to check. And so if you're the kind who writes on a paper, believe me, you might not have that paper after 3 days. So we need our clients to keep, to have good systems, processes, and we have a lot of teaching on how you can do it. Record keeping that we will satisfy. The law mandates you to keep records and keep them well. And of course, there are people who will will not. I'm sure most of our Ugandans here want to honor the obligations. They don't want to. I don't know what. Okay, I want to avoid. I believe if you take good care of your business, it will grow, and it will grow to even give birth to other businesses. But record keeping is key, and for purposes of tax, it's very important for you to keep good records in order to arrive at the right amount of tax that you're supposed to pay. If you don't, then we can actually come and estimate for you. We will look at the people who are in your line, in your sector, and do an industrial average, which might not be the case, because you could have done better, or most times people say I didn't do that, but we will get the best in your sector and compare you with that, and be able to arrive at a position, because you're not. And the penalties also, penalties are very high for not keeping records, because you're playing with government revenue, and government is out there trying to make sure that delivers on services to all the people of the Republic of Uganda. So it's not good for you not to keep records or to be haphazard in the way you're doing it. And we have a lot of literature, and we can come to also teach. If you call in, we can really try to help you. But again, there are also designated tax agents that you can call and ask for guidance on how to keep records, because they are very important in arriving at what the tax obligations are. Without those, we will start using other scientific methods.
Yes, you mentioned something to do with picking the market value in case someone does not have the records, and then using it to compile the tax of another business person. So if you do that and present a taxpayer or a business person with a tax assessment and they realize they cannot fulfill it or pay it, how do you treat such a person? Do you give them a plan? Is there an option of installment paying? How is the person going to be treated?
Okay, maybe I want to treat that question in a two-way.
Okay.
Let us assume that you're there, you filed your return, and maybe you don't have money to pay. Your cash flows are not doing well, and for one reason or another, maybe you haven't been paid, and you've issued the invoices, and they've given you 45 days, 60 days. You can fill an installment form, which is downloaded online from the web portal ura.go.ug, and ask for installments for you to honor the provision of last year's tax obligations. The only thing is that there is interest, so I don't encourage us to do that. But then let me also deal with someone who has received an assessment. If you've received an assessment and you're in agreement, then pay. And if you can't pay, of course, you can also use the payment installment form. You fill in and tell us. Of course, we're not going to give you 10 years for you to take care of obligations. We want that money today in order to take care, or in order, yes, to furnish government with resources to take care of the citizens. So we usually have a discussion around there on the number of installments. There are some installment numbers that are not agreeable for us, and of course we know it also increases on the cost of doing business, because you are asking, the more installments you ask for, comes into play. Yes, now for the person who has an assessment and they don't agree, you can actually object to the assessment. And they are given days within which to object to an assessment, which are 45 from the date when the assessment is issued. If you really feel it's too high, or yes, you prepare your records and you tell us, look, this assessment is way too high, or there's a mistake. We go through that process and try to look at your records. You bring your records, and that's why I talked about records. And then you tell us, no, you're saying I didn't make maybe 1 million. I made only 500,000. So you must have a record and proof that shows that you actually made 500 and not the 1 million, which we think. And then we arrive, usually we arrive at a position which you again go back and you're supposed to pay.
Okay. Patrick, you also mentioned something about a provisional return, and that is a half-year return that taxpayers are expected to present. Now, if it so happens that a person maybe made a mistake, or they overestimated or underestimated, how do you treat that taxpayer and this provisional return? Are there options that they can look at and maybe change or correct something?
Thank you, Elizabeth. Apparently, maybe you have to first know what categories of taxpayers are in this bracket. Because at this time, this is the end of the year, Now, there are about 3 or 4 categories. We're going to talk about mainly 2. So for those ones whose year ends 31st December, that's the companies, we expect this category of people to be either amending. Now they know the year is ending. You had made a provision during the start of the year. Now the year is ending. Now you know exactly what has transpired. Either you had underprovided or overprovided outside. So before the year ends, we expect you to amend and put now in the actuals. That is for those ones whose year is ending 31st what? December. However, as David said, for those ones whose year is ending 30th June, as they put in the final return, for sure 6 months have already elapsed, you have been operating. So based on what happened month and what has transpired this current 6 months, remember now a provision is like an estimate. What is likely to happen? You can give a clear picture that this 6 months, this is what happened. The next 6 months, this is likely to happen. So can label put on a provisional return, which is present a reliable estimate what is likely to happen.
They're able to pay the right tax.
Yes, okay. Of course, the format for filing the return is clear. It usually specifies the fields which someone is filling in according to what transpired. Of course, we expect it's a summary of the real transactions that have happened. We expect them to keep ledgers, so on, and maybe the law allows you to claim expenditure, and there is a specific way for claiming each expenditure. Because you can't buy a building today and you claim the whole building as an expense. Yes, that means government will not get anything for a while. So the Income Tax Act has a way through which most there's a parameter. How do you claim those deductions? That is one. But of course, when we now talk about VAT, the only credit that is issued is the one which came through IFRS. Okay, because the law is clear now. You should raise an e-invoice. Okay, but the credit allowed must also be an e-invoice. Okay, you cannot just put in any credit, because we have many people who we are still trying to teach and help to be able to start issuing e-invoices. And yes, but it's clear all of us are supposed to be issuing e-invoices, especially if we are VAT registered.
Yes.
And when it comes to the Income Tax Act, of course, there are some people that we deal with who don't have. But again, when you prepare, for example, if you use the boda as a mode of transport and you spent on it, you'll find some of these records are not on the IFRS. Those, of course, there is a part in the return. It's a very long return. It has about 8 sheets. It has a tax computation, it has the trading account, it has the balance sheet, and plus other activities, because you'll find many of us are involved in farming, mining, and so on. So you're just feeling what relates to your business.
Yeah.
And it has inbuilt formulas, and it usually helps you to check.
Yes.
If you put that you spent on rental income, of course we expect you to fill in who is your landlord.
Okay.
Yes, and there's a fixed assets schedule. There are many things in there which build into, let's say, the wear and tear or depreciation.
Okay.
Some of us calculate it differently, but the law has a specific way of allowing the fixed assets depreciation. So there's a schedule that you fill in, and there are a lot of other things that are required. Stock.
Okay.
When you say I have closing stock, there's a schedule where you fill in what closing stock you have, and so there are quite a lot of things that are filled in the return. The return spells out everything really.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So there is this scenario of where we must have TINs, tax identification numbers, yeah? Now, there are also businesses that are small and they make less than 5 million. Now, let's say that there's a scenario whereby this year the business has been good and then they make over 5 million. And when they reach that threshold, they're expected to have a TIN and file and pay these returns. What would you advise for someone who doesn't have any knowledge about the TIN, but they've made this money and maybe they're willing to pay, you know?
Okay, that's a good question.
Yeah.
The law has, and when we talk about the law, I'm sure we don't want to be complicated here.
Yes, definitely.
What
For
sections,
small businesses, yeah.
Yes, so ideally some of these things are ingrained and we can actually guide you further, but you are supposed to keep a record, or the people you're dealing with must have TINs.
Okay.
We have a very large informal sector,
Yes,
and we are trying to also put them and bring them to also contribute in order for there to be many of us who are contributing. So you must have a TIN for people who are supplying you up to where every year, especially as you do business. But if someone supplies you with a good or service for an amount that is beyond 5 million within a year, you must have their TIN. Otherwise, it is not an allowable expenditure.
Okay.
So, of course, you will have maybe you'll come and say, I spent on this up to 10 million. But you will not just put a name, Abdu, that I paid Abdu, because Abdu is not contributing and yet he's dealing with you. So, and there are some of us who you find Abdu is coming every month. Today brings 300,000, tomorrow it brings, but by the year end, you'll find his ledger is at about 6 million.
Yeah.
You'll pay the tax for him. So we encourage them to deal with that. But encourage Abdu or David or that person to get a TIN. You can get it through Instant TIN. It's 5 minutes.
That's true.
On the web portal, and it's free and it is easy. But again, I also want to bring in the factor of small taxpayers.
Yeah.
There's the presumptive return
Yes.
for our informal sector. For people, and I know many of us who are small largely deal with the informal sector or sector. I'll give an example. You might be buying a bag of potatoes for your small
Kiosk.
Yes, you're in Chireka and you're buying a bag of potatoes, and you find the guy bringing it is maybe picking it off a bus or something.
Yes.
So you find there's some of those challenges, but there's the presumptive return, okay,
Okay.
which really looks at your turnover. Okay, but again, you'll also have the you'll have the TIN you will declare, but we might not go so much into. We basically look at the turnover.
Yeah.
And if your turnover is below 150 million, you are allowed to use that return, and you'll avoid some of those. But professionals are not allowed to file this return. It's only, especially those who are selling goods, and really the small and micro taxpayers whose turnover goes up to 150 million.
Okay.
But again, please encourage our people to register. It is easy. We have offices all over the country. That is something that we'll mention as we shut down.
Yes. Okay, thank you, David. So, Patrick, about now the large taxpayers, David has expounded on small taxpayers and what they can do to pay the tax. Now, when we come to, let's say, government suppliers, they get these very big contracts. What happens in the case whereby they are making these huge transactions and supplies, but their payments have not yet been able to come on time, but they need to pay this tax? Do they just pay it and wait for the payments, or what happens? Or what advice would you give them on how to go about the tax obligations now that we are at the end of the year?
Thank you, Elizabeth. Apparently, for you talked about large supplier, then again you put in a government. Eh?
Okay.
You put large, then again the government. Okay, let me first begin with the government. Recently, there was an amendment. Of course, this one came because of the outcry. The state government, you can see, is the biggest institution which is giving contracts to individuals and non-individuals. And it involves huge amounts of money. And these people, the government, the supplying government, and the same government, they say, please pay us the money when the tax is due. It has been, it was for a long time, but again we saw that because the taxation is fair, they cried, threw the umbrella, they sat, and they said no, I think it is being unfair. Because we may supply government worth billions, but we get payments after like 3 years. And if last year we say, give us our VAT, give us our income tax when it is due. So the recent amendments in the VAT, that is financial 2022-2023, there was an amendment where if you're a government supplier, you are supposed to account for VAT as and when the government has paid you. Those changes have been effected in the IFRS. Those changes have been effected in the what? In the VAT return form. However, note that as you claim, you should also claim when you have paid cash. So you are paying us when you have received the cash. At the same time, you should claim when you have paid cash. That's the advantage and disadvantage. So that's the brief about government suppliers. The other issue is the same. Record keeping. Yeah. Just talked about it. If you are VAT registered, we expect that for every receipt you are going to claim or invoice, you must have gone through IFRS. And by the remember, IFRS has come to sort the issues of record keeping. You have those challenges. And the two, maybe you also talked about those people who may be supplying you. You may be supplying government huge amounts, but also these are the small contractors who are supplying you. And you know that by within 12 months or 6 months, the amount of money you are going to pay them is going to be over and above 5 million. Remember, we're talking about developing Uganda together. And they say 1 + 1 = what? 2. So why not even having a share contributing to the government coffers? So encourage these people to have a tin. Otherwise, that burden will come back to you. So we encourage you that help these people acquire the tin if they cannot get it by themselves. That's the if we talk about large suppliers.
Both of you have been mentioning IFRS as a system that is going to help, that is helping in record keeping. And actually, I've noticed that most of the supermarkets I go to, they use it, and I think it's fine. Now, what do you have to say to people who are biased or think that IFRS is not helping them, or it's costly in terms of internet, power? Because I have met taxpayers who'd say, you guys, your system is costly on our business in terms of electricity, in terms of internet, because they have to have internet to use it. What would you advise them, or what would you say to them? Any one of you?
To start with, now, people say that prevention is better than cure. That's the first thing. And also, as a matter of fact, that record keeping culture is still poor. most of us are the taxpayers. Yeah? And I said it's me and you. So one, IFRIS is going to help you solve that challenge. The issue of it is very expensive, I can say yes, it depends on your turnover. But to big businesses, for sure, I can say IFRIS is very expensive. You have to take, it's just about setting your priorities right. And remember, within the law, those costs you are going to incur when you are purchasing these gadgets, at the end of the day, they are arrivable what? Deduction. That's the brief I can talk about it. So yes, you have incurred the cost, it's an expense, but at the end of the day, the law says it's okay, you incurred the cost. It is valid. It is a claim. So before you pay the taxpayer, by the end of the year, we allow you to claim it.
Maybe to add, I think if it's software that is, there are some people in our business ecosystem who would give you an invoice, come back to Yore, and Yore says, no, you come and claim. And they say, no, and VAT is very interesting. It's value added tax. So someone claims their input, find no, the other person not.
Okay.
So we are safeguarding. The risk of losing the tax is one of the things that is our mandate. But again, we are helping many people. There are many people who ask for refunds, and you'd find our people not bear it. So you find someone knows they're entitled input or refund. Even people like big organizations, people you'll find even people supplying our diplomats when they claim, you find wasn't declared. So and again, there was also the fact that okay, who does it? The client has done their part. They came and registered for VAT, and gave them the VAT. So they're now collecting half of government, and they're supposed to remit it. I think IFRIS came in to help. It's a software, so you don't have to buy software. It's there. There's some of our taxpayers who, like I've said, have been in audit. Many of us have a challenge with record keeping. Many of us, I think it comes from, I don't know, our culture or something. But this is now a system that helps us to keep it, because you can see all yourself right there.
So are you saying that if I have IFRIS in my business, I don't need to keep any other record? That is enough?
Well, for starters, you'll have a record, because this record will stay for forever.
Good, yes. It's within the system.
Because we will not delete that information, but we will keep that record. So if someone is trying to cheat you, we will have that record that actually gave them an invoice or you purchased from them. And of course, we want to arrive at a day where we can see all of the transactions within the economy. Not for those who, we also have those who don't want to report the full sale. But IFRIS has come to help us administer taxation in a fair manner, because there are so many people who are honoring the obligations, and there are some who do not want to honor the obligations. So it comes in to help level the ground, to ensure that those who have tax.
That's quite interesting. So any last words that we'll start with Patrick.
And last words, as I said, I first appreciate. Thank you for those people who have honored the obligations. We're here to help each other. And if you have noted, as you have heard, the window is still open. You can apply for extension. But make sure as you apply for that extension, give us that money. Because if you don't pay by 31st December, there will be interest. And I like talking about this issue. Don't wait to bank that check tomorrow, on the last day. Because you may bank it knowing that you don't want to pay that interest, and yet remember your check is going to go to another bank. So I encourage you to go as early as possible. When it says that is a now, yes, to go bank that check and have a good year. That is 2023. Hey, and also record keeping. It is coming across everywhere. Record keeping still remains a challenge. If we see that to help us, for those small businesses, that those small gadgets we can use, those small books, counter books, make use of them. The landlord, claim your receipt. At the end of the day, if you don't, that expense will come back to you, meaning that you have to ask for the tin for the landlord.
Thank you, Patrick. David, as you tell us in your last remarks, taxpayers would like to know, the year ends on the weekend. And what is the way forward for those who will not be in their offices and their businesses over the weekend?
Interesting,
That's a very good question. Thank
Yes.
you. The clients, I'll start with that. And you've been given 6 months within which to file. Even if you're in a Kawohe, you're in a Jumani, you're in a Moroto, you can file. Okay. Our position here, there is let us remind you and kindly reach our offices. We will be working till our offices will be working till late. Our call center will be open midnight on the 31st, ready to help you honor your obligations. We are here. Our offices are going to be open. Most of our tax offices are going to walk to a center near you, and we will help you. We will work till late on the 31st. We now have a new office even at Boulevard. We're going to be there trying to help you on obligations. We're right in the center of town, but we are all over the country. We are online. We have a WhatsApp line. Kindly, there's a 24/7 service ready to help you on your obligations. We don't want anyone to get onto the penalty side of things. But again, like Patrick talked about, our apply for extension where you have reason and you cannot file the returns. Please apply for extension. Apply for it way before, because your reason might not be fit. There are some of us who may not want to honor obligations. So really, the law gives an opportunity to those that want to fulfill the obligations, but they have some challenges. And so apply for that, and our teams are ready to actually approve or reject, but put in that return. And my remarks,
Yes.
honorable taxpayers, come through there to this point. Thank you very much for those who have paid. We really appreciate all of you who have made it easy. We've laid the ground, and we've made it easy. You can actually pay on your mobile phone. There are a lot of electronic modes of payment. Kindly honor your obligations in order for government to be able to give services to the citizens. I want to thank God who has brought us through the year and enabled you to do business.
Yes.
And where you're having issues, challenges, kindly walk to your station. We will be there to support you. As tax literacy, we want to come and teach you. Kindly invite us. We want to come and teach you, teach your suppliers, teach your people, and you, as Uganda Revenue Authority, we really want to help everyone to be able to honor the obligations. We call upon Ugandans also. Register, it is easy. Most of the laws that we administer as Uganda Revenue Authority have the canons of taxation taken into consideration, not high. And it's only if you have another motive and do not want to honor obligations. But the government is really doing a lot to provide services. So kindly honor your obligations. If you have challenges, please, we are ready to support you. We want to make it easy. instant, and we believe it's supposed to be easy, instant, and when you meet us, you will not run away from us. You will actually hug us and say, continue next door. I am done. So thank you, and see you in the new year.
Thank you, Patrick and David. That was such a wonderful way to close off the year. You have been our guest for the last Tax Mchuzi episode of the year, and we can't thank you enough. Thank you so much. And as we come to the close of the year, don't forget to join in tomorrow Twitter space for the URA feedback loop with our URA Commissioner, Domestic Taxes, Sarah Chelangat. She will be there to take on your questions, answer your different concerns and issues. Thank you.